everyone. Eddie Leeway here. This is going to be my fourth cancer update. I want to take the time to let everybody know about my progress and, thank everybody who's supported and has sent money through the GoFundMe. That's incredibly huge, and I can't thank you folks enough. I'm not out of the woods yet, so anybody who hasn't donated, who can donate, God, I'd appreciate it because the expenses are climbing and I'm having still a very hard time keeping all of that balanced, along with making my hospital appointments and the traveling I do to come back home and to come up here. It's not easy. It's not easy. Also, if you go to Ninth Circle on Instagram, NINTHX Circle, CIRCLE, you'll find that we have a pre-order going on for the Desperate Measures design in t-shirt, long sleeve, and hoodie. Your purchase there would help support and fund me while I'm going through treatment as well. Again, that's Ninth Circle, NINTHX Circle. It's all lowercase. Martin's a great kid based out of Texas. And, we're in the middle of this campaign. We're not sure if we're going to extend it, but it does end Friday. So if you could take the time out to find him and put an order in for the Desperate Measures design, go for it because it looks real good. And this design hasn't really been out there in close to 30 years. The only addition to it is the NYC under Leeway. Other than that, it's exactly like the original designs that we had in Europe back in '92. So I hope you guys go looking for him. I'll repeat it one more time. His name is Martin, and it's Ninth Circle, Ninth X Circle on Instagram. So let's talk about my progress because that is the key issue here. And the progress has not stopped. We've not hit a crossroad anywhere with this treatment. I come up for chemo every 3 weeks, and every 6 weeks we take a CT scan or an MRI, and we don't just look at my whole torso, but every 2 months we look at my brain. Recently, I did have another gamma knife treatment. It's kind of like this pinpoint radiation laser for the brain, because after removing 11 or 12 lesions, one surfaced in my left temporal. So we had the gamma knife again. It's quite a procedure. If you look at my Instagram page, because I can't get into it, I think it's gone, you'll see the photo that I posted where, the whole helmet around here was bored and screwed into my skull. And, I am very confident that the lesion's gone, very confident. If we removed 11, we're only removing one at this time. Now, as of my last CT scans, nothing else has surfaced in my general torso area or my liver. So as much as we're keeping an eye on that, the mass is really the only issue. But the mass has been shrinking considerably. We're almost around 3 centimeters now from where it was so pulsating that I was coughing up blood before I went to the hospital. It is beyond that now. It's probably more than half its original size, and it keeps shrinking. Once it breaks 3 centimeters, it will be going to be measured by millimeters. So the next time is November 1st for the scans. And after that, when I do my next chemo, I'll know what the results are. But between the chemo, the radiation treatment I had before chemo, and where we are, has been nothing but progress. I've been confident that we're going to beat this. There's no doubt in my heart. And I think that's what's helped me to galvanize my energy and fight this for the last 7 months. It's more like 10 now because I was so sick in January before I went to the hospital in February and received this diagnosis. But I've not lost my sense of humor. I remain positive, and all of that is also essential to my well-being as I go through this. I haven't really experienced many issues with the chemo. Pretty much the only one has been hair loss, which I'm fine with. You know what I mean? It's like, look, this is what I used to do when I was a kid in the 80s. I would shave it down, bick it, and then let it grow in. So, aside from that, maybe I feel a little weak after chemo, but it disappears after about 3 days. I know nutrition has been important, so I'm trying to eat better foods and stay away from junk. And that's about it. It's that solid. We're moving that much forward. And I thank everybody because I could not have done this without the support of my fans and my friends. There would have been no way to keep this afloat, pay my expenses, and pay whatever bills that come up. And wow, is what I can only say about that, because I am that humbled. I am that grateful. Now, I'm going to be working on the podcast a little bit more. It's been a while since I've been able to post anything, and I'm trying my best to get that all together. My friend Sean Murphy is now helping me to get the word out and to move forward. And I'm just trying to make changes that are going to be able to help me be a bit more consistent with this, because I really do want a podcast. These cancer episodes and updates that I do, they're part of not just explaining my treatment and my progress. I wanted people to learn from this, and do things for themselves to lead a healthier life and to try to avoid what I'm going through now, because the next person may not be able to have such an easy time with chemo and the rest of the treatment as I have. I've been very blessed with all of that. And, it's different for everybody. Some people will be sick as a dog through chemo, and probably if they were on my schedule every 3 weeks, they would deal with a lot of sickness before they start feeling better, but then have to go back into the chemo process again and go through that full circle. It is what it is. The chemo, I believe, has been the sledgehammer to removing this mass in my lung. I don't know if it's going to shrink to the point of like a centimeter and stay there, or we're going to have to watch it. What I do know is they're talking about immunotherapy for the rest of my years. Now, some of that immunotherapy is, you know, kind of like a second force as I take the chemo treatment. And offhand, I'm trying to think of the name of the chemo that I'm on, and it's hard. It starts with a T. And between that and the immunotherapy, I've been able to stay busy and be able to get around and do more things. And, once I got out of the hospital the second time, it took a while for me to get my strength back and everything else. And I finally started feeling better around the time of my birthday, where I wanted to go out, I wanted to walk around, I wanted to try to do more and get back to my own routine. Having the routine, I think, is very important for people that go through this too. You need to get up and go out and do something. You can't lay around and cry the blues and not fight this thing. Maintaining a certain level of endurance is essential. And even if that's like just getting up, taking a walk into your neighborhood, or going into town to shop and, get food and whatever else you need. But you have to do it for yourself too. There's just no way you can lay down and expect your friends and family to cater to you. It's defeating. It only causes more depression. So, like for me, I had to man up. They always told me it was treatable. And I made sure to maintain that positive thought and did everything I could to get healthier and have a little bit of stamina to be up and do the things that I do. The fact that they're talking about immunotherapy for the rest of my life, I don't have a problem with, because I feel as I beat this thing, there will be process of aftercare where I won't be taking the chemo anymore. I'm not sure how much time they plan to keep me on it, maybe the end of the year. And then immunotherapy will be the only thing that I'll be receiving, because, at some point we're going to stop the chemo. But I've been making such progress, and I haven't had that many symptoms that most people go for or get. That they just keep pumping away. I go in religiously. There's not one appointment I ever missed. And I'm just keeping it as real. But I maintain a very strong mind through all this. And I'm focusing on nothing but recovery. My mom, she beat pancreatic cancer, and she was treated at Sloan Kettering, which is the #1 hospital for cancer. NYU's like the second best in the country compared to Sloan Kettering. Now, they took out her spleen and a very small part of her pancreas, and within a year, they basically had her marked down as cancer-free. We're looking at 10 plus years, maybe more, for my mom being cancer-free. And barely 5% of the people who are diagnosed with pancreatic cancer survive. I think, the fact that they had to cut her open wasn't great, but the fact that they were able to remove all that cancerous uh, mass, you know, um, she was able to beat all that. Uh, I'm grateful to my mom. You know, I feel like her fighting genes are in me, and the treatment I've endured and everything else, and kept my head strong, has to do with the spirit of my mom. And I love her dearly for it. She watches these all the time. And, I love you, Mom. You know that. It's quite a fucking journey. Sometimes I lose the words to explain it, even though I'm comfortable doing these recordings. It was very overwhelming in the beginning, but again, I was always told this was treatable. And every time I feel down or feel defeated, I maintain that mantra. Every treatment, every CAT scan, every MRI shows me that I am winning this battle. There has yet to be a stutter step or some sort of pause where the mass is not responding. Every time they take the pictures, we're seeing a smaller and smaller mass. What I'm hoping for is that I could get back to doing shows come the spring. In the meantime, I'm working on a single that will be released soon. I would like to think before the holidays. But aside from that, I've got this little side project I'm trying to do and just get back in the thick of it. I'm feeling that much better. And when I'm up north and I'm at my studio and I do some practice, I can feel that I can still blow it out. You know, um, the more I practice, the more control I have in my voice, of course, and it's easier for me to kind of keep a cough down. You know what I mean? Because obviously I do have a cough, but you know, it's not severe. You hear me coughing here, it's kind of like a one cough done type of thing. So that's really pretty much everything right now. The treatment is working. After 9 months of this, I am making progress, and my doctors and assistants have been nothing but wonderful. Kind of establishing relationships through all this. They're amazed at my recovery. And let's keep it real. If I was not making progress, I'm not going to be bullshitted by a doctor. I've told them from the get-go to just keep it real with me. Even if there's a bad look on the horizon, you gotta let me know. I have to know where I am in this war. I have to know. It's the only way for me to stay positive, it's to stay focused, and to keep doing everything. All those things, are obviously essential because having at least some PMA and having a sense of humor helps you so much through this stuff. And anybody that does get sick with this, no matter how bad it is, or the prognosis is grim, or treatable like they've said mine, you have to find a way to chuckle. And you know it doesn't have to necessarily be positive joking on the cancer. It's just in general life. You know what I mean? You have to maintain a sense of humor. You can't curl up and die. That's something that almost happened to me, because when I was in the hospital in NYU, uh, 2 days before I was being discharged, I started coughing up blood again. And they stopped feeding me. Pulmonary doctors were afraid, because the mass was so big at the time, that there's a chance it could have tore off. It could have tore off my lung and caused massive hemorrhaging. They were that afraid. The colon, not colon, uh, the bronchoscopies, where they put cameras into your lungs, showed that it was very close to the top here. And, maybe a cough or something like that could have potentially dislodged the mass. And then my lung would have filled up with blood and poured over. I used to think, and from the sound of the trickle in my throat, that my veins in my esophagus had burst. And that's also what happens to alcoholics over time, because their liver gets so damaged that the blood backs up and it breaks in your esophageal veins. They're the weakest veins in the body. And that's why, for many chronic alcoholics, decades of abuse, they're eventually waking up or going to the bathroom at some point through the day and night. And they're coughing up blood like, Gene Simmons. When I was coughing up the blood, Gene Simmons had shit on me. You know what I mean? I wasn't putting on a show with blood tablets. This was real. After they stopped feeding me for that time, for 2 days, it also destroyed my appetite. So when I got out, I wasn't on pain meds or anything at the time. I was pretty much laid up all the time. Very weak, very exhausted. It took about a week for me to build my appetite back up. But I was so weak and in so much pain, that might have been the only time I worried about getting sick enough where I could have had a cardiac arrest or something, because I'm not eating enough. But, through vegetable berry smoothies and simply eating what I wanted to eat, was able to rebuild that appetite again. But that was probably my scariest time, because even if I got up, and I had balance issues simply for being deaf all my life, partially deaf, that I would get up and I would be so discombobulated just to get up and go to the bathroom, that was the challenge, is going to the bathroom, coming back to my bed, and laying there without any energy. Now, 9 months later, I'm in a much better position of health, profoundly better. And we're going to keep going with this. I'll be giving you updates. And again, in my closing, I would like for some of you all to go out there who haven't donated to my cancer fund me. Go to GoFundMe. Search Eddie Leeway Fights Cancer. I don't expect you to give me your fucking paycheck. I'm not asking for significant support, you know. If people out there like yourself can drop 20 bucks or whatever, that would mean the world. That would add up. That would help me keep fighting. Because I'm not going nowhere. At least right now, I'm not going nowhere. I will be making that return. And over the holidays into the new year, you're going to see that. Again, Ninth Circle on Instagram. NINTHXCIRCLE. It's that easy. Ninth X Circle on Instagram. We have the Desperate Measures design for sale, tee, long sleeve, or hoodie. Now, during all that Facebook bullshit that happened, I can't get into my original Instagram page. I'm doing everything right now through my baseball card hobby page, which is Eddie's BB Cards. And I'm not reaching the people that I normally reach. It's been very frustrating not having my main page to promote all this stuff. I have to go to the hobby page to reach out to people and try to explain to them that my page is down. It's probably this Facebook fuckery shit. And I'm doing all my, work on my hobby page. So be aware of that. Again, my hobby page on Instagram is simply Eddie's BB Cards, all lowercase. EDDIESBBCARDS. Eddie's BB Cards, baseball cards. It's not. There's no dots, there's no caps. It's just very simple. Eddie's BB Cards. Reach out to me there. Follow me there until I figure out what to do and see if I can recover this page or whether I'm going to have to start over. Those are the challenges. Just getting the word out right now is key. Asking people to support the GoFundMe or buy the Desperate Measures shirt through Ninth Circle so we can keep that going too. Beep. Always traffic in Hoboken. I want to thank everybody for their time today, sitting in and watching this. My love and respect to each and every one of you. I will see you soon. Stay tuned.